But I just want to play the first few seconds of this because this is what I saw when I saw this link, when I saw that this came out. I saw the first few seconds, and let's have David react to this.
All right, guys, happy Friday. Nothing too controversial today. Just one question. Is America a sovereign nation, or are we being controlled by Israel? I know that question someday is probably going to get me arrested. I know this anti-Semitism bill is making its way through Congress. And I don't know if we're going to be able to have free speech anymore. So let me get it all out while there's still time.
That's how far I've watched. This is supposed to be a reliable, good, wonderful journalist, a great source of knowledge. And this is what she says. We talked about this. We recently made a whole live stream about it. We analyzed very deeply what she's talking about. She's talking about the Antisemitism Awareness Act.
Didn't we actually read through the bill? Didn't we actually read through and see exactly what it says?
Yes.
Unlike her and all her stupid fans, and the bill specifically says nothing in here can be used to stand in the way of a person's right to free speech.
Yeah. So she is once again...
It's in the bill. It's literally in the bill that this can't stop you from speaking. Oh, my goodness.
She's once again referencing the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act bill, as it is labeled, as it is called, which passed Congress and which is currently in the process of making it through the legal process of becoming recognized, turning to law. She is totally misrepresenting it. The bill is not about putting anyone in prison. The bill is not about restricting speech for people. It gives further instructions to the Department of Education for universities, for example, so that they can properly understand what kind of behavior is seen as anti-Semitic behavior. And then based on like mob attitudes within universities, for example, where people go around screaming all kinds of genocidal things, where universities have then the obligation to prevent discriminatory actions against Jews based on anti-Semitism. And the universities in this case have the obligation to comply with that and to stop such things, to stop such discrimination. Otherwise, they face losing federal financing. That's all this bill is about. It has nothing at all to do with your right to criticize Israel or to ask questions or to quote different things.
This applies in regular, like elementary schools, high schools, colleges, and so on. It's illegal to discriminate against people, let's say, for being black. You understand, AP? How do you identify if the student is being discriminated against because he's black? Well, you would have some sort of list of things that might tip you off, right? If you say the N-word while you're saying you can't come in this room, there could be a list of things. And you say, here are criteria that can be used to identify whether that act of discrimination has something to do with the person being black. All right. So there are situations on college campuses where people are blocking Jewish students from entering the building and things like that. And so the question becomes, how do you identify and be able to say this college campus or something discriminated against that student because that student is Jewish versus some other reason for telling the student he can't come on campus or something like that? Well, the purpose of the bill is to say, here's the list of things. Here's the list of ways that you could identify whether that person is being discriminated against specifically because he's Jewish, as opposed to some other reason. That's what the bill does. It's about schools and being able to identify when a person is being discriminated against because he's Jewish, at which point the school has to take action. The school has to take action to stop the discrimination, or federal funds can be withheld from the school until they make sure that students are not being discriminated against. That's it. There's nothing about anyone not being allowed to say something. There's nothing about people going to prison over saying something. It's withholding funding from schools who refuse to protect students from discrimination. That's what the bill does.
It's not really problematic. It doesn't change much. All it does is the Civil Rights Act at the time tackled certain things. Religion, for example, was not included. But for example, discriminating against people based on their skin color and ethnicity and gender and all of that is protected. So that is addressed. But discriminating against people because they're Jewish, for example, is not being addressed. So because universities failed to act and failed to shut down internal protests that call for the genocide of Jews, Congress thought, okay, apparently we need to pass a bill to explain to these universities what exactly constitutes, discrimination of anti-Semitism. Because apparently they don't get it. So that's the whole point of it. That's the whole point. And we can have all kinds of disagreements about this. And you can disagree with us and say, no, you're describing it as something that is not problematic, but in my opinion it is problematic for this and that reason. That's all cool. That's all right. However, in this situation here between us and Candace Owens, this is not a matter of disagreement. We are right. She is objectively, undoubtedly, beyond reasonable doubt, wrong. And she is misinforming people, causing harm, and needs to stop. Whoever even recognized this person as a proper journalist?